Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Let's go back to that breaking news now. In confirmation out of Egypt that former Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi has died at the age of 67 during a court hearing. For the latest reaction to this news, we're going to be joined on the line now by Yitzhak Lebanon. He's the former 67 during a court hearing. Morsi had reportedly fainted after a court session and passed away afterwards. A top figure in the Muslim Brotherhood, he was toppled by the military in 2013 after mass protests against his rule. He had been serving a 7-year sentence for falsifying his candidacy application for the 2012 presidential race. More on the story and reaction here on I-24 News throughout the evening. Well, let's get back to another top story now. And the White House is accusing Iran of nuclear blackmail. A National Security Council spokesman saying Tehran's plan to exceed internationally agreed curbs on its stock of low-enriched uranium must be met with increased international pressure. Now, this comes after Iran's atomic agency spokesman said Tehran will break its uranium stockpile limit set by the 2015 nuclear deal in 10 days' time. Tehran had promised before to take further action to renounce its commitments under the landmark accord with world powers. Now, Iran's recent 60-day ultimatum to the European Union came after the US withdrew from the deal and reimposed crippling sanctions on the Islamic Republic. Well, for more on these latest developments in Iran, we're joined from Washington by Middle Eastern and geopolitical analyst Matthew Brodsky. Matthew, thank you so much for your time. Let's start with the latest developments. A White House security official accusing Iran of nuclear blackmail. Is that fair? What is your response?
Well, first of all, we should point out that if Iran is saying that it's going to just boost its stockpiles within 10 days, that is precisely how flawed the nuclear agreement was. In other words, we could be in the deal still paying a lot of money towards Iran. They could be free to collect as much money and wealth as they want from the sale of oil and everything else that we currently sanction, all of which would help them at a time of their choosing break out toward nuclear weapons. So I think the United States takes this Iranian threat very seriously. We'll wait to see what happens. It's designed first and foremost to put pressure on Europe and China and Japan, both who are big recipients of Iranian oil and really need it from, well, they take their oil a lot from the Middle East. So the Straits of Hormuz and keeping the waterways open there is extremely important for them. Hopefully, from Iran's perspective, those countries will be putting pressure on the United States to, of course, get back in the deal. The nuclear issue, incidentally, is a separate problem from Iran's behavior, which is something else that is happening. It's rogue behavior and terrorism, which the United States needs to be able to address separately from the nuclear file.
So given exactly what you're describing, the warning being issued from Iran, are you surprised by this 10-day deadline?
It's not surprising, since Iran had already said within 60 days a while ago that this day was going to be coming, and they're ratcheting up pressure on Europe, as I said, so that they'll put pressure on the United States. What I think Iran would settle for is for Europe then creating a side way of passing money through that doesn't have to deal with the American dollar, so that Iran can trade and not be sanctioned with Europe as well. But of course, since the United States policy is to have Iran come back to the table to make a brand new negotiation over a deal that encompasses not only its nuclear program, but its rogue regional behavior and ballistic missiles, what we need from the U.S., we need maximum pressure. So anything that relieves that is contrary to that policy.
And Matthew, the fact that Iran is being accused of attacking the 2 oil tankers in the Gulf of Oman, and the US says proof is coming, talk us through the impact of this incident and the blame game that is underway right now.
Right. It's actually fairly shameful what we see in the United States from the other side of the political aisle among some members, even Ben Rhodes, who was the architect of selling the nuclear deal under the Obama administration, just this morning casting doubt on the intelligence community's findings and really trying to say that it's America's fault for Iran's rogue behavior, which, of course, they've had since 1979. I think the United States right now is considering its a wide range of options. It's unfortunate that countries such as Germany and others kind of want to wish the problem away instead of just dealing with the facts as they are, which is Iran has been acting with rogue behavior for a long time, and specifically we've seen the uptick since 2011 in Syria. And of course, these are all threats that need to be handled. The United States is able to defend itself and will defend itself, as Secretary of State Pompeo has made clear. That doesn't require a new authorization for the use of military force in Congress. And of course, that's what a lot of people on the other side of the political aisle are arguing, that this is some American Trump administration drumbeat to war, which again, it is not. These are the United States responding to Iranian aggression.
Thank you so much. That's Middle Eastern and geopolitical analyst Matthew Brodsky. We appreciate your insights from Washington. Well, on to the